Hi everyone, my name is Habiba Ali. I'm your Master of Ceremonies for tonight's event at the Stars for Tomorrow Fundraising Gala with the Somali Center for Family Services. We have a full house tonight, so everybody enjoy the show.
My name is Fartusa Siad. I'm the co-founder of Specs and Veil Productions. I'm also here to talk about media activism in the Somali community with the youth.
My name is Mohammed Haji Aiden. I'm one of the supporters of this organization. I've been working with the Somali Center for Family Services over 20 or so years, and in that capacity I've involved in its development and in terms of service delivery capacity as well as the administrative structure. The organization has come from a long way, and you see, the fruits of that work. People coming together to stand up for something good that will serve the community over the long time. And we appreciate all those people who came forward to support this initiative, the partners, the supporters, the volunteers, the staff, and everyone, the board. We cannot say enough about what their role and their support that they have extended to us. Thank you very, very much.
And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes, oh, 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 oh. Fire, give you reason, take you higher. See the champions, take the field now. Unify us, make us feel proud. In the streets our heads are lifting as we lose our inhibition. Celebration, it surrounds us. Every nation, all around us. Sing forever young, singing songs underneath the sun. Let's rejoice in the beautiful game, and together at the end of the day, we all say, when I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes, oh, oh, oh.
My name is Naima Shego, and on behalf of the board, the management, the staff, and all the volunteers of Somali Center, I have the privilege and honor of welcoming each and every one of you to our second annual fundraising dinner, Stars of Tomorrow. We know many of you have traveled distances, left work early, made special accommodations in order to come and support this cause tonight, and we are extremely grateful. So thank you for being here with us tonight. Our theme for the program this evening is called Stars of Tomorrow. Tonight we shine light on the great achievements our youth have done, while stressing the dire need for the programs to continue to run in order to have a larger impact. As you are well aware, many nonprofit and charitable organizations like the Somali Center carry out their mandate of serving the community while oftentimes encountering resources challenges. The main purpose of organizing this fundraising event tonight is to minimize the impact of these resources and continue offering important programs that address the current needs of our community. Of course, needless to say, this also gives us a chance to celebrate with you some of the achievements and success the Center has gained over the years. The Somali Center has been the heart of this community over almost 2 decades now, helping new immigrants, seniors, youth realize their potential and giving them the resources they need to reach it. Last year, we were extremely touched by the support and generosity we received from our friends. We knew we were not in this alone, and serving our children and youth is a common goal that was shared by all of us. So we thank you for returning our call when we needed you most. On that note, we'd like to share a quick slideshow with you that summarizes all the program we ran last year, the fun we had, the friends we made, and the small lives we touched.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go! Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
Wasn't that beautiful? I want to thank the young people that worked very hard putting this program together this evening. I want to especially thank the two girls who spent actually weeks making the centerpieces on your table, the little stars. That would be Ayan, Zainab, and Aisha, actually three of them. And I want to thank Muna for being our IT again this year and putting this video together. As you can see, this room is filled by a lot of young stars tonight. Some of them being all our coaches and facilitators of the programs are sitting here tonight assisting you with your table needs and any inquiries that you may have. So feel free to get to know them. They're very nice. They're a little bit shy, but they know mostly about what happens on the ground with the kids. And so please, I want to give them a round of applause for always being here with us and supporting us. Once again, we want to thank you for your support. Please take note that your individual and collective generous donations made these programs possible. We have a full agenda for the evening, and we want to make your time with us memorable and rewarding as possible. So the good news is I will not be your MC for the night. I know, I was just getting used to this and really getting the hang of it. But she's a good friend of mine. Me and her actually go way back. We met as first-year university students, and today she's here to be our Master of Ceremony. Our host this evening is a multi-talented young woman who always has passion for community work. With over 10 years of experience working with parents and youth in low-income communities, she continues to drive new and innovative ways to attract young people and encourage them to fulfill their dreams. She's also a poet and was invited by the former Governor General of Canada to perform at her closing ceremonies. Works at Pine Creek Queensway Community Health Center as a student parent support worker for program facilitator specialty, mentoring through pathway to education. But above all, she's a mother of a beautiful 3 girls, ages 5, 8, and 1 and 1.5, and that is what she's most proud of. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our Master of Ceremony for this evening, Habiba Ali.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? It's okay to laugh at me because I actually consider myself a comedian. So if you find that most of the things that I'm saying funny this evening, that's okay. I won't be offended that you're laughing at me. I'll take it as you're laughing with me. So like Naima said, I do have a passion for community work and youth work, and I've been doing this for a little over 10 years, and I'm actually very honored that I was asked to be here tonight. I don't know how I got that honor, but still very honored. Thank you very much. And you know, like Naima was saying, I am a bit of an entertainer, so I have to start with a little bit of entertainment for you guys. And you don't even know what it is yet. Don't be excited. Actually, coming from my center at Pinecrest Green Health and Community Center, they're very, nurturing, you know, to anything that you want to do. They're always encouraging. So I had a couple of the opportunities to do a couple of gigs in rapping, like hip hop. They were the only ones booking me. I've only done 2 gigs there. But still a supportive environment. But this is my 3rd gig, so now I'm on the road. So, without further ado, I actually wrote a Somali Center rap. Shamarki Abdullahi from Crime Prevention Ottawa is going to drop a beat. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm going to try to do it a cappella because it's offbeat, and when you don't have a beatboxer, nobody knows you're offbeat, you know? So, the center opened in '91 in response to influx of Somalis who've come. It was established for heritage and culture, you see. However, things changed very quickly. The needs of the client changed to integration supports with an emphasis on well-being, of course. The mission of the center is to assist immigrants and refugees with all of their integration needs. Working with youth to seniors ain't rare. Around here, it's considered their motto of care. Thank you for all coming tonight to help celebrate the integral care that this center generates. I promise you'll enjoy this wonderful night because I already see the smiles with my very own sight. Word. So you'll be getting a lot of that this evening. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. And he's a friend of the center. His name is Leo Doyle. He grew up in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, where he played competitive hockey, baseball, and basketball. His parents are members of the Cape Breton Sports Hall of Fame, builder category, so coaching and organizing sports is second nature to him. His first basketball memory is watching Team Canada play on TV in 1976, the Olympics in Montreal. The following year, he transferred to a newly built elementary school that actually had a gymnasium. So he got to try out basketball for the first time, and he's been hooked ever since. In 1989, Leo graduated from St. Francis Xavier University and moved to Ottawa to pursue a master's degree at Carleton University. He works for the federal government, is married, and has a son, Matthew, who attends Glashan Public School. Leo has been coaching youth basketball in Ottawa for over 16 years in organizations such as the Ottawa South Community Association and the Ottawa Shooting Stars Basketball Club. In 2012, Leo and the Shooting Stars worked with the Somali Center, the Philippine Basketball Association, Le Petro Recreation Center, and the Office of City Councillor Matthew Fleury to start up the Central Ottawa Basketball League. COBL is their acronym. The league provides children access to affordable, organized basketball and serves on-the-job training for basketball officials, training through programs at the Boys and Girls Club of Ottawa and the Valley Board of Approved Basketball Officials. The topic he'll be speaking to this evening is called Building Communities Through Sport, the Central Ottawa Basketball League, and the power of collaboration. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Leo Doyle.
Thank you very much. I was told to speak for 30 minutes. Is that correct? That's my first joke that bombed. So, good evening. My name is Leo Doyle, and I'm very much honored to be here this evening to discuss what we call the Central Ottawa Basketball League. And I'm also honored to be here with my good friend Taylor Pritchard, who does a lot of volunteer work for the Basketball League. Taylor, I think 2 years ago, received a reward from the Somali Center for his contribution, but he couldn't come that night. So let's hear it for Taylor. So I also see my good friend Barry Bregman from the Ottawa Celtics Basketball Club, who's here this evening, and Barry's another pillar of the basketball community. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the power of sport, collaboration, and what it does for our youth and what it does for our community. And the relationship I'm going to talk about principally is the relationship that has grown between my basketball club, the Ottawa Shooting Stars, and the Somali Center. And this came about over the course of setting up this basketball league. And it provides us some lessons about the collaborative power of sport, of bringing people together and creating new opportunities, despite what our different cultural backgrounds and experiences may be. Whether it's just the children out playing on a sports field or a basketball court, or parents in the stands, sport can very much be a powerful and a unifying element of our lives. And I think you see in the photos and the images of some of the various activities that the Somali Center engages in, that sport is really one of those things that I think gives kids a real sense of self-esteem and a sense of enjoyment. And very much as parents and as people who look to support our children and our youth, we're constantly looking for opportunities for them to develop themselves, and not only in sports but in other activities. But sports, the thing I'm going to discuss today, because as a child growing up in Cape Breton, as was mentioned, I had a lot of opportunities to take part in sport, and it was always volunteer driven. And the models for me were very much my parents, who did a lot of organizing, setting up teams, setting up leagues, but not just in sports, but also in other aspects of cultural life, in music, and drama, and dance. So they thought for me it was important, not that I just learn how to throw a ball or shoot a puck, but that I learned to sing and dance and public speak. I didn't get good at any of them. But my parents, they felt that these were the opportunities for youth and for their 5 boys to grow and to develop. And I can see that these are the values that the Somali Center cultivates as well. And these are the values that many of our cultural communities cultivate for our children. Very much, we all want the same thing. But how did I get hooked on basketball? It was mentioned, I had never actually seen basketball played until the 1976 Olympics. It wasn't a big sport. We had 2 English language channels in Cape Breton, and a third channel that we called the French channel. And they didn't show basketball up until the 76 Olympics. But when the 76 Olympics came on, I was completely blown away. The Soviet Union had a guy who was 19 years old, 7 foot 3 inches tall, Vladimir Tachenko. And as a 9-year-old boy, Tachenko really sort of captivated me. I could not believe that any athlete could be that big, could dunk a basketball, and could dwarf everyone else. And so, as it was noted, I transferred to a school that actually had a gymnasium, And so that was my first chance to actually try out and to play basketball. And so it became kind of a bit of a life's passion from there on in. Eventually I graduated from St. Francis Xavier University, and I moved here to Ottawa in 1989. And it was about a year or two later that I met my first Somali ever. In growing up in Cape Breton, there was a measure of cultural diversity. There were some old, Lebanese families and Jewish families. We didn't have any Somalis in Cape Breton, though. And so I was living on the corner near Albert and Bronson, and I was doing a Master's of Arts degree at Carleton. And I don't know, people, if you've done graduate studies in university, it can be kind of a bit lonely and an isolating experience. You're kind of, unlike undergraduate students who have a lot of classes and you're integrating with people, when you're doing graduate work, a lot of it, at least in the arts, is just reading these long journal articles and hundreds of pages a week. And so kind of the only relief I got during the course of the day was I just had to get out of my apartment, and I would go down to the corner of Albert and Bronson, and I'd play a little pickup basketball. And in 1991, the only other guys playing pickup basketball in the corner of Bronson and Albert were young Somali kids. And so that was my first introduction to the Somali community. I met a 14-year-old young boy named Muhammad, and he and the other boys were just shooting around. And so, did I mention I'm talkative? So I kind of was curious, well, who are these guys? I'd never seen, I met Africans before. I didn't meet Africans that looked like these guys. And so I just started asking questions. So, where do you go to school? Are you from here? And Muhammad explained to me, he said, my family were refugees. We came here from the war in Somalia. There's a bit of a civil war going on, and this is where we're living, and maybe we'll go home, maybe not. And I kind of had an immediate affinity for Muhammad because I was kind of feeling the same way. I wasn't from around here. I grew up in Nova Scotia. It's like 1,500 kilometers down the road. I'm not from Ottawa. So, Muhammad and we're both new guys in town. And the other thing that we had was basketball. And so as we got talking about basketball, we got talking about, what's your favorite team? Muhammad likes Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. Okay. We got some common ground here. And so every time I would escape my apartment and go down and shoot some hoops, I'd run into Muhammad and we would chat and kind of get to know one another. And I kind of feel like for the next 6 to 8 years, I watched Muhammad grow up. I moved neighborhoods. I moved over into Sandy Hill. Muhammad got a job at the Loblaws on Rideau Street, working in the photo lab. And I'd see him and chat, and he was doing engineering at Ottawa U. And I got a great deal of satisfaction about that. I graduated from my master's degree, and I was working for the company, the government, and I was sort of getting on in the world, and Muhammad was getting on in the world. And we were both newcomers to Ottawa, and we both loved basketball. And that's kind of how I segue into, well, how did we go about setting up this basketball league, the Central Ottawa Basketball League? It was kind of a realization, living in these downtown neighborhoods of Centretown and Sandy Hill, that there weren't a whole lot of opportunities to play basketball if you were a young kid. The Somali Center actually was one of the first organizations to take the initiative in terms of setting up Somali youth basketball, operating out of Lisgar High. But that was mostly, that was more for kind of kids in high school. And by this time, I was kind of focused on, I had a son, and he was a bit younger than that. So we're kind of thinking about, well, how could we create a league where younger kids would have opportunities. And so I was on the board of the Ottawa Shooting Stars basketball club, and I began to realize that if you live in Gloucester, if you live in Orleans, if you live in Stittsville, Barrhaven, there's a lot of sporting opportunities available to you. There's all kinds of new public schools, Catholic schools, Francophone Catholic schools, English public schools. There's big community centers, the Richcraft centers, there's the Goulburn Recreation Center, there's the Orleans Center. But if you live in central old Ottawa, they're mostly just closing down schools. There aren't a whole lot of gyms. And so there's kind of limited opportunity. Coach Bregman is here, and Coach Bregman has been running teams for about 20 years in the city of Ottawa. But he is like one of the hardest working guys I know, but he can't do it all. So Coach Bregman's able to offer opportunities for maybe about 36 kids. And we were thinking about how could we build a bit of a house league that would give more kids a chance to play in a way that was very affordable, in a way that didn't entail they're having to go kind of get in a car and go somewhere, or if they had to get to the game, maybe they could get there on a bus. And so we got talking to different organizations and thinking about how are we going to make this happen. And one of the key individuals that I spoke to was City Councillor Matthew Fleury, who had just published a study, and this was about 3 years ago, just looking at the city of Ottawa and realizing that, yeah, if you lived in the old kind of central city of Ottawa, there weren't a lot of sport opportunities available to you. And that was very much unfortunate, because there's no shortage of studies that discuss the benefits of sports and participation, especially for children, especially for recent arrivals, for immigrant children. And the role that sport plays in fostering social inclusion for recent arrivals, for immigrant children. And the role that sport plays in fostering social inclusion. When it's accessible and when it's affordable, sport can really break down a lot of the social and cultural barriers. And they really give kids a sense of belonging to something, a sense of solidarity with other children, and even a social network. Basketball, because it can so easily be played indoors and it has such a long season, seems especially powerful in terms of its way in which it can foster new relationships and lifelong friendships. Even social change becomes possible. Cornell University professor of American history Walter Lefebvre talks about the integrating power that basketball had in the United States in the early part of the 20th century. In his book about modern sports and communications, entitled Michael Jordan and the New Global Capitalism, he writes that basketball seemed nearly perfect for new arrivals. Because the game could be played on small city lots, the players needed nothing more than a ball and some kind of hoop. And so in American cities, basketball helped to build an urban coalition in the early 1930s of Jews, Catholics, and blacks. And working together, it helped to foster the ideas of the New Deal, that we could build a better, a fairer, and a more equitable society. In 2012, Statistics Canada, when looking at volunteerism and the role of sport, discovered that among immigrants, volunteerism in sport is one of the leading activities. In Ottawa, 77% of recent immigrants And 70% of all immigrants live within the greenbelt of the city of Ottawa. And yet, we didn't have a basic house league for basketball. So that was kind of what I, within the Ottawa Shooting Stars, got to thinking about. How could we create, given all the powerful arguments for having a youth basketball league, how could we go about creating this? And the topic of my discussion tonight is about collaboration. But my first thought actually wasn't collaboration. My first thought was, I know a guy who's the vice president of charity and philanthropy for a national high-tech company, an international high-tech company. I'm just going to go ask him to write me a check, and we'll set up a league. But I discovered it doesn't work that way. That, like government where I work, charities and philanthropy, they've got long-term strategic plans. And so if you want to start, if you come in April and say, I got this really great idea, we're going to start in September, if you were here in September of 5 years ago, maybe we could work with you. And so, but my friend gave me some really, really good advice. And he said, look, if you want to make a league like that happen, get out there and just get talking to other people who have an interest in doing this. And so I had somebody give me a copy of Councillor Fleury's report. So I went and I spoke to Councillor Fleury. And he could not have been more supportive. Having lived in Sandy Hill, I actually played in the Jewish Community Basketball League for about 6 years. And so I had a big network of people within the Jewish community. My good friend Ian Sadinsky was the head of their historical society. And they couldn't do enough in terms of saying, how can we support you? How can we make this happen? Especially given the Jewish community's historic role within Ottawa of having been very supportive and continuing to be very supportive of the initiatives of the Somali Centre. So I spoke to him, and then somebody said you should meet Officer Moe. And I see Officer Moe is here this evening. And so I buttonholed Officer Moe at a charity basketball game at St. Luke's Park, and I said, who do I talk to in the Somali community to try to get a little bit of a basketball league going? And he connected me with Mohammed Hassan. And Mohammed could not have been more supportive, more interested, more enthusiastic. And it just kind of snowballed. Mohammed had been active in a Ottawa Boys and Girls program that trained kids to be basketball officials. And anybody who's played organized basketball knows, as awful as officiating can be, you gotta have them. So I think principally my job here tonight, having told you about the league, is really to say thank you. To say thank you to Mohammed for his leadership, to say thank you for Samatar Youssef, who's now taken over in Mohammed's absence, to say thank you to Ahmad, to the coaches who get the kids out and who make the league work. Because we think that it's having an impact, and going forward, we hope that it will grow. And we hope that these kids will think about the fun and the experience that they're having. Because some of them are going to be really, really good basketball players, and they're going to probably have a bit of a future in the sport. And some of them, like me, their basketball career will kind of come to an end, but they'll become volunteers, and they'll become coaches. And they'll, like the leaders they see in the community now, they'll become committed volunteers in terms of building things up, paying it forward for the next generation. So I hope you are as proud of the role that you have played in the creation of this modest little basketball league as I am. And I will conclude with a favorite quote from Phil Jackson, the general manager of the New York Knicks and the coach of the Chicago Bulls and former coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Not only is there more to life than basketball, there's a lot more to basketball than just basketball.
teaches a lot. I remember when I played sports, I wasn't very good either, and my career has also ended. But I learned a lot about teamwork, and I've learned a lot about sportsmanship and leadership. And that's exactly, like he said, you'll take on other roles in your life because of the foundation that sport has set for you. So thank you very much for sharing those thoughts with us, Mr. Doyle. So we have entertainment now for you. If without further ado, I'd like to tell you guys about a Rwandese girls group. They didn't have a name before they came here. They just said, "We're the Rwandese girls group." And I said, "No, give me a name." So I kind of forced them to call themselves something. So their name is Bergwa, which means beauty and elegance. And we're going to have two of them singing for you. And then we're going to be following a dance by them during dinner. But the singing part will commence first. So I'd like to call up Uwamalia Pamela to come up first and sing for us. It was Swahili. For those of you who understand Swahili, she was saying, whenever you fall, you know, if you're spiritual, God will pick you back up. Or whatever it is that you believe will pick you back up. It's very essential because if you have role models, if you have people who believe in you, that's why we're here today. We all believe in the center's Somali Center, and that's why we're celebrating. So I really find that the principle behind that song was very, very touching. And she did it wonderfully, so give her another round of applause. And now, We have another member of Berga, meaning beauty and elegance. Deborah, she's going to be singing a song for us. I'm going to quit rapping and just support her. I'm on your bandwagon now. I need to, yeah. American Idol, I can drive you. I heard Canadian Idol fell through. We should get it back. Without further ado, we continue in our program. We are now presenting the Book Scholarship Program Award recipient. The Somali Center for Family Services has for the first time put together this Book Scholarship Program Award. It's an amount of $500 for a student in the community who is going off to post-secondary education. The scholarship was put into effect to help students who are in their last year of high school and going into a post-secondary institute to ease their minds about tuition. We were approached by an organization, the Somali Canadian Youth Mentorship Group, which was established in 2009 that helps and mentors high school students for this scholarship. It was then put forward that the Book Scholarship Program would be awarded to an individual who has achieved both in their academic and personal lives. The recipient must be involved in their community, participated in some way, shape, or form in the Somali Center for Family Services, a current or a past Somali Canadian Youth Mentorship member, and as well must exhibit the financial need. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mariam Mahmoud, who was the first recipient. She's a first-year Bachelor of Commerce student at Carleton. Mariam says if she had one wish, it would be to make everyone around her happy. She's a very passionate, dedicated young woman who loves accounting. Her dream is one day to work in charity and help people in financial crisis. So, Mariam Mahmoud, if you can come up, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Mariam Mahmoud. I'm a first-year Bachelor of Commerce student at Carleton University. It's an honor and privilege to be here tonight as the first recipient of the SCFS and the SCYM book scholarship. I am in Canada for less than 3 years now, and I feel extremely blessed with the opportunities that I've received, the people that I've met, and the choices that I've made. I grew up in a house where education is extremely valued and encouraged. So I was extremely happy when Ifrah told me about this scholarship that they were doing at the Somali Center for Family Services. And I immediately followed up, made my application, and Alhamdulillah, with God's grace, I was selected by the committee to be the first recipient of the $500 book scholarship. I remember one afternoon when Mahmoud Hassan, the Somali Center coordinator who was handling the application process, when he called me that afternoon, I screamed at his ears with excitement. This year was full of blessings and happiness, seeing the joy and happiness in my parents' eyes while I graduated from high school and got accepted into a reputable university in the program of my choice. That was just too much to take it in, and for that matter, to receive this financial support from perfect strangers. To take away the financial stress of buying books, Alhamdulillah, great sense of relief for my family and I. The good news is I did not spend any single penny buying my books this semester. That's a huge deal for me because that lifted financial burden off my parents' shoulders. I'm very grateful and honored for the fact that I was the first recipient of this scholarship. I thank Allah for putting the right people in my path, like Ifrah. She's a beautiful person with a beautiful soul, mashallah. I am grateful, and I hope this effort will be continued by the Somali Center and the SCYM program. I encourage more organizations to join and make this scholarship program bigger. Thank you for giving me your time to share my story, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. I just want to talk a little bit about the Somali Canadian Youth Mentorship. Why I'm so proud of this organization is they're a group of youth that decided they need to be role models for their community and their youth. I'm always saying, they know I go on rants about discourse, you know? What is out there about you becomes fact, and if you debunk discourse, that's the new fact. So what they're doing is excellent in that sense, so I really want you guys to give another round of applause to Ifrah and her team with the Somali Canadian Youth Mentorship Program. I have a couple of other shout-outs. We have a live painter. This is so exciting. His name is Andre. We don't know what he's working on. But at the end of the evening, we will find out what it is. It's already looking beautiful, much better than I could ever do. I'm telling you. But before I introduce, she's a poet. Before I introduce our poet, I'm just going to mention a few things. Little house rules. Well, actually, we'll get to house rules later because you guys are already following all the rules. Like I said, you guys are natural natural audience members. We have the Stittsville City Councilor with us this evening. He's sitting at the Crime Prevention Ottawa table. Shad Kadri, thank you for joining us, and we are very humbled. And Shamarki, which I know very well, and Kelly, you guys make him feel welcome at the table. That's our ambassadors for the evening for you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ikram Hussain. She is born and raised in Ottawa, so some more local talent. She's a third-year linguistics student at Carleton University, and she has a minor in American Sign Language. That's all I know, with A, B, C, D. She's working on teaching me the rest of the letters. She's wonderful at interacting with her peers and improving her skills as an, get this, archer. And she's VP of the internal she's VP internal of the Carleton Archery Club. She's been writing poetry since the age of 8 and has been performing for a few years now. She's an avid reader and a big dreamer who hopes to one day be a successful author, and she will be sharing one poem with us this evening, so we are very, very, very blessed to have her here. Please, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the poem.
How's everybody doing? Good? Great. It's a great honor for me to be here tonight and get a chance to perform in front of all you guys. I really hope you enjoy it. So I was asked to give a piece about, representing me and being a Somali Canadian and all of this. So I wrote this and I really hope you guys enjoy it. It's essentially the answer to the inevitable question that every first generation anything is going to get, and that is, where do you come from? So I wrote this piece called Motherland. In the time before I was able to see the differences between people, I was told of the motherland. Vivid watercolor paintings of sunsets on oceans and beaches filled with people from end to end. It was beautiful. But despite the love for it that was sewn into my soul, I couldn't wrap my head around that word, motherland. I expected motherland would be the land in which I was born, so instead of the warm sun's loving embrace, my mind's eye was filled with the images of blizzards and ice storms and everything that made that night in '95 beautiful. And instead of the melodious tones of my beloved Somali, my ears were filled with the sounds of hello and bonjour. You see, growing up a first-generation Canadian has taught me that I'm not someone belonging to one culture or another, because if it were the case that I was from one or the other, then psychologists wouldn't be debating on nature versus nurture. Instead, it has taught me that I'm the very embodiment of every hope and dream that my parents had when they landed here. I am the bridge that spans across oceans and connects two completely different worlds. I am the torch-bearing guide that navigates the murky waters of cross-cultural communication. My veins flow with the blood of the men and women from the land that taught them that the voice is the source of power. My limbs stretch and flex from a lifetime of rigorous training in a land that taught me that the pen is mightier than the sword. And like the seamless intermingling of my flesh and blood, I have learned that I have learned that it is not one skill or another that makes me successful. And as the night follows the day, or one foot goes before the other, I must understand that it is not one foot or another that helps me stand, but both. And the same way I am a symbol of seamless bilateral symmetry, it is impossible to separate the different sides of me. And that is why I will always remember who I am and where my place is. For so long as my western arm extends to the coast of the Pacific, and my eastern arm extends to the Indian Ocean, I know that the world is at my fingertips. And between the hand and the tongue is the rhythmic beating of my heart as it calls out to its motherland. Born from the hearts of the free into the land of opportunity, my possibilities are endless. Rocked in the arms of wisdom and fed from a fountain of history, the world is my canvas. Hammered and forged by the rapid collision of two cultures and two lands, I stand solidly, with my feet planted firmly among the maple trees and my fingertips outstretched to the stars. I am a prodigy, and I know that as long as I remember who I am, I will always have a motherland calling to me, so let the whole world know. I am a Canadian, and I am Somali.
We're talking about the stars of tomorrow. How about the stars of today? Can I have another round of applause? Now I know why adults boast that. I mean, I used to know you when you were this big, and, I used to know her when she was this big. I'm just saying. Well, I know I'm getting hungry, so you guys are probably getting hungry. So it's that time. It's dinner time, y'all. We're gonna be eating very soon. And we have if you guys can see, I'm actually going to be doing dinner in terms of who's eating first, in no particular order, you know? But before I get to that, I need to just give a shout out to Zaki, who provided the food. Chef Khalid is here with us tonight. And if we can give him a round of applause. Zaki is a halal restaurant. It's in, if you remember, in the West End where Laurentian High School used to be. I'm not familiar with the streets that much. And there's one in the East End, so there's 2 locations in Ottawa. I'm pretty sure Chef Khalid can tell you where they're both located. And while you're eating, and again, it's another opportunity for you to all chat and mingle, let's not forget about the silent auction in the room that Ikram Ahmed from the Somali Center worked very hard on. So we want all of those items out of this room by the end of the night. Just saying. And like I was saying, in no particular order, I'm just going to let the Ottawa Police Services go first because and the Ottawa Police Association, I mean, nobody needs to get arrested tonight.
What is it? Chicken.
lady that I'm introducing next. Her name is Firdausa Siad. She's the co-founder of Specs and Veil Productions. Alongside her videographer partner, Cave Abdelkader, in 2012, they decided to start producing short comedic videos about their experiences as Somali Canadian young women. Their video, 10 Types of Somali Girls, went viral globally and drew the attention of mainstream media like CBC Radio, and it went viral, y'all. I remember seeing it many times. Soon afterwards, they were approached by the United Nations Association in Canada to complete a media internship under the Multimedia and Multiculturalism Program for 2013. These days, they're splitting their work between working with Professor Diane Watt under the University of Calgary researching media activism with youth and producing their own web series entitled The Chronicles of a Somali Girl. And you can find that on YouTube, actually. Their short video submission entitled 3 Things You Should Know About My Hijab, which is this thing I'm wearing on my head. I whip it back and forth from time to time. Was produced in collaboration with another Somali YouTuber, Hadan Hujale, and has been honored with not 1, not 2, but 3 International Film Awards. And that was presented at the Plural Plus Youth Film Festival by the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, the acronym UNAOC. They will be heading to New York in December for the award ceremony. Without further ado, I'd like to bring forth Firdausa, and her topic tonight is entitled How I Stumbled into Media Activism.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum everybody, good evening. Before I begin, if you look at your event program, I believe my talk is entitled How I Stumbled into Media Activism. The more fitting title is how and why you guys should watch me not stumble through this talk today, inshallah. Exactly. So I'd like to first thank the Somali Center for Family Services for inviting me to join you wonderful people tonight. I would also like to thank my ride and my date for the night, my brilliant father, Yusuf Siad, table 2. Who has been, honestly, my most loyal cheerleader from day 1. I remember about 3 years of track and field meets, and without fail, I've always placed last in 200-meter sprint. But he was always there to pat me on my back and give me McDonald's, so I love you all. I would also like to take the time to thank one of my shooting stars, Professor Abdurrahman Haloli from Regional High School. I wrote here that I usually like to begin with a joke or two, but I think I kind of did. But the truth is, and was brought to light by my cousin, was that there's nothing funnier than my broken Somali. I'm not going to torture you guys tonight, inshallah. But I like to just continue with my speech right now. My story begins like all other 21st century Somali Ottawa folk tales, right? In a building apartment, in Donald in the east. My partner, Kate Abdelkader, and I were trying to find something to watch. Like most of you know, television failed us in that respect. So we moved quickly to YouTube, and I truly believe the internet is on its way to rendering television absolutely obsolete. Quote me on that, inshallah. Even cable shows right now, such as Scandal and other really amazing shows, can be found online, right? So I will talk a little bit more about the significance of that later. So we were browsing YouTube, trying to find something to watch, something funny, and what we came across was a wealth of cultural produced material, whether it be web series, vlogs, comedic skits, by people who look different like us, acting and writing these amazing pieces, right? So what we were witnessing was that these people were not only creating satires of their own communities, but basically giving us inside jokes. And although I found it so funny and absolutely hilarious, I couldn't help but feel kind of outside a little bit. So that only left us extremely hungry to find more Somali-produced material. The 3rd anniversary of Wariak Kamansan has passed. I think it was produced by a great group in Toronto. If you guys know the guys, please let me know, inshallah, afterwards. I want to say thank you. So besides that, there was nothing on there really. So we were left kind of pondering the same questions we always kind of go back to, me and Kaif, in our apartment. Number 1, why are we waiting to be represented in the media? 2, why are we not representing ourselves as Somali diasporic youth? And finally, what can I do to be on the inside of these jokes? And I'm not lying when I say it was like a cartoon light bulb went off for both of us. We turned to each other and went, we can just do it ourselves, right? She bought a camera over on Boxing Day and we decided that let's make a small, little funny little thing to show our friends and family and wrap it up, right? It didn't wrap up, but alhamdulillah for that. So Kaif herself, my brilliant videographer, Somali female partner, has a crazy background in media. She, in grade 12, she was part of this program at Rio High School called Adobe Youth Voices. Many of you probably know about them. Her documentary entitled Hijab, The Unveiled Truth, won the Canadian Adobe Youth Voices title and brought her all the way to Stanford University to attend their summit, where she was only 17 years old, mashallah. I myself was incredibly lacking. I had no media background besides like watching YouTube videos, recording myself on my Hoyos Nokia phone, like Facebook photos, that kind of stuff, right? So she took a leap and I jumped on board, of course. So we paired up, her hijab and my insanely huge glasses at the time, if you guys some of you probably know me, basically gave birth to the name Specs and Veil Production. And alhamdulillah, we produced a video called The Things That Somali Girls Say, I think late December, and that got to 40,000 views that week alone, I think, alhamdulillah. And our second video, which we're more noted for, 10 Times Somali Girls, which I start in, and which I always credit as like the beginning and the end of my acting career, but I'm back again, the new web series, plug. So yeah, alhamdulillah. That honestly surprised and still surprises me. Like I look at the numbers and I always think it's me, my cousin Halimo in the UK only who watches videos, right? But there is, I can't even begin to think about it. But so Allah, alhamdulillah, is blessed in many ways. The video, Sent Us Somali Girls, we took 5 hours out of our day on a Sunday, an empty hallway in Ottawa U, and it was just us and a couple of different hijabs to change into, right? So what we did was not extraordinary, and I can't stress this enough. What we did was not extraordinary. Do not be intimidated and do not strive for perfection with these things. Just bring your idea to life. The reason why we achieved so much attention and so much praise and so much opportunities from this was because of you, the Somali community, and I'm not exaggerating. Everything we've gone so far is because of you guys. Like I stated before, the internet is about to render the television obsolete. That means that traditional media, which is controlled by a handful of people and serve to push certain agendas, will no longer hold as much power as it once did. Information sharing will no longer be a one-way street. The internet and its platforms such as Tumblr, YouTube, Vimeo, etc., give the opportunity to anybody in this world to basically give light to their messages. The voices that were once absent in traditional media are now narrating their own stories. Before we teamed up with Professor Diane Watt and the University of Calgary to research media activism in youth and to bring to light a media club in a small private SAM school in the West this year, I had no idea how political us making videos really was. To us, the video was again something to share with the family and get a quick laugh out of. What I wasn't aware of, and still I'm kind of grappling with, is that just making these videos and representing ourselves was inherently an act of activism. We were taking back the power and challenging the popular stereotypical narratives, the one-story dialects, and that media outlets have been pushing for decades. Somalis are not and will never be one-dimensional individuals. The popular Nigerian novelist Chimamanda Adichie stated in her TED Talk, "The single story creates stereotypes." And the problem with stereotypes is that they are not only untrue, but they're completely incomplete. They make one story become the only story. We see that all the time in the media. You can ask your children, you can ask your coworkers about certain things in the world in terms of events. If you ask them to source their information, they're going to tell you CNN, they're going to tell you Al Jazeera, right? And there's a problem with that. Now, for the real reason I'm here tonight, my whole speech is a love letter to the Somali community. The success we have been given belongs to all of you. The power that we hold as a community to empower any project, any product, any business we choose should honestly be researched. It's amazing. It's a phenomenon. For example, our first video averaged about 7,000 views a day, right? And the demographics showed that the top 3 countries watching were Canada, the US, and the UK. So let me ask you, where do the majority of the Somali diaspora live? Those 3 countries, subhanAllah. So as you can tell, the power of the Somali community is absolutely amazing. It's limitless. So whether they liked it or not, and we got some nods, of course, the Somalis were sharing, they were commenting, they were putting them on like Pakistani YouTube like websites, so it's everywhere in the world, alhamdulillah. And it's still generating, I think our latest video, Somali Problems, is almost at 500,000 views. In only a year, I think, alhamdulillah. Also, CBC Morning Radio invited us for a couple interviews, not because what we're doing again was so extraordinary, but because the Somali community here in Ottawa was so large. They wanted to be let in on some of our inside jokes. Isn't that kind of funny how they want to kind of be entered into our stories, but we were not allowed into their stories almost? It's really kind of funny. But yeah, so what I found with my work that was taking me to different organizations across the province, at least, almost the continent, inshallah, is that people are really curious about what we have to say about ourselves, but through our own mouths this time. We received the same sort of questions and curiosity with the UN, with the Congress for Humanities and Social Sciences, with different educators there as well, this past May in Niagara Falls. They were all interested in what we had to say for ourselves about ourselves. I cannot express enough my gratitude to all of you here. Not only have you raised us, but have provided a limitless amount of support and encouragement in every aspect of our lives and business. My first real job was offered to me through a student employment program that was unknown to all of us in my community until a Somali adult brought it forward. Things like such are always directly advertised to Somali youth throughout the city by superheroes like Abdurrahman Haloli and others here tonight. The Somali community is not only my backing, but I believe that we all should continue to pay it forward. That is what each and every one of you has done unconsciously, consciously, directly or indirectly. The extra hour of drop-in basketball, that homework club job, that pamphlet of university programs, that click on a Somali produced video, that fundraising, that donation, etc. I'm here to thank you all for the work you are doing and urge myself first to always strive to do more. I do not think at this time that I've done enough. I don't think I'm ever going to think I've done enough, to be honest. My partner Kif and I always vow, we always bring it back to the fact that we always want to help Somali youth in our community in any way we can. Every opportunity, every secret loophole in the business world, every tidbit of information is stored in hopes of sharing with our community. I will only feel slightly satisfied when I'm able to return to my homeland with something tangible. A method to boost our economic development, whether it be through media, law, educational reform, etc. Contrary to popular belief, Somali youth do believe in and have never abandoned Somalia and are amassing the tools we need to help rebuild the country, inshallah. It is so cliche and it's so generic, but the saying is so true, just do it. Just do it. No idea is crazy. I've learned that firsthand. I hope we can be an example of just that for all the youth out there who have these ideas in their head that they might think is a little too far-fetched. It's not. So just do it, inshallah. The worst that can happen is that you learn something new about yourself. So if there's anybody here who needs advice, wants to be featured in one of our videos, etc., or do not hesitate to come contact me afterwards, inshallah, and I will help in any way I can. So thank you, Allah Akbar.
For those of you who know Hawa Haji, she's like a 50-year-old Somali woman. And I don't want to say her age, she's not 50, she's like between 40 and 50, I'm sorry. But she has an accent where she speaks English. She's somebody who's been learning Somali for 20 years. And she also, in the characters that I do, has a bit of a rap career also. So I'm going to share a quick rap that she has written with you. And I can embody her and speak on her behalf when I play her. So to you social workers in the room, I know what I'm doing. I don't need a diagnosis afterwards. It's not multiple personality. No, I'm good. I can be Habiba and then Hawa Haji, and vice versa. In and out, I know when and where I am. Thank you so much, though, for the concern. So, without further ado, this actually is, these boys here inspired me, or volunteers, because, you know, they're all looking for love. And also, this is for Yakub. He's one of our stars in the Somali soccer league. He's right there. Sorry to turn this one. So he asked me, can you do one of your Hawa Haji raps? I said, yes, I can. So this is called, it doesn't even have a title, I'm sorry. But I'm just going to go into it. And first of all, when I start talking like this, now I'm Hawa Haji. You know? And Hawa Haji has a little bit of swagger when she walks. She walks like this all the time. I don't know why. It's like she always has the beat and hears the beat in her head. So, can I get a microphone checker one time for your mind, please? And this is for the girls, actually, about the boys who are looking for love. Because you know, Somali women, they will always tell you, be careful with those boys. But every woman will tell you, be careful with those boys, right? It's not a Somali thing, it's international. So, that was Habiba, by the way. Just I know exactly doing a Hawaiian one, you know? So, girl, before you give him a chance, ask him what are his planes. Does he want to do right by you, or are you a one-night standist? All of these things I'm telling you are true, because all these boys want to do is play on you. I was young too, I know these boys for real, and all they care about is how they can seal the deal. Kelmet. So if you want to see more of Hawa Haji, I am an aspiring playwright. I am not a very good PR person, but I will bring it forward. It's tonight. No, tonight. It's not tonight. That would be cause of concern. Social workers, if it was tonight, just red flag that one right there. But it's Saturday night, November 22nd at Woodruff High School. I am a West Sider. I did come all the way out here, so you guys have to go all the way out there to come to the play. So Woodruff High School, it's $20 to get in. I'm trying to get 3 girls, yes, 3 girls through college. It's not easy. Every day I'm hustling. That's Hawa Haji, by the way. In the words of Rick Ross. Speaking of, actually, rappers, like I always found it funny that Hawa Haji finds it funny, their names. You know Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne, that's one guy that's, you know, might have to call the social workers for that guy. Because little means little in English and Wayne means big in Somali. Is he little or is he big? I don't get it. I don't even want to start with Biggie Smalls. Is he little or is he big? I don't get it. Anyways, now moving on to our keynote speaker. Back to being Habiba, guys. Our keynote speaker tonight is a young man by the name of Hassan Suleiman. He's a financial officer working for the Department of Public Works and Government Services Canada. He graduated from the University of Ottawa class 2013 with a magna cum laude mention. Wow. He obtained his high school diploma from the École Secondaire Publique Louis Riel in 2009, also being on the honor roll. After immigrating to Canada in only 1998 from Djibouti, he grew up in the south end of Ottawa, which is now depicted as a highly dangerous area. Every day we hustle in this, it ain't dangerous around here. Somebody needs to tell him. Anyways, throughout the years, his accomplishments and success stories came from his work ethic and discipline. The path was not easy, he says. So does Hawa Haji, it's not easy. But he strived to make the most of each opportunity that came his way. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Hassan Suleiman.
Hello, everyone. The thing about coming to speak towards the end is that everybody kind of gets hyped. We have such amazing speakers tonight, good performances, so there's a lot of pressure on me. But first of all, good evening. And I just want to start by saying that I'm honored to have been able to speak at this event. So I think it's a wonderful occasion to start off. And I would start by firstly thanking everybody that took their time and effort to making this happen, and all of the wonderful facilitators who give wonderful opportunities to the recipients of the various programs. And I want to say this because a couple years back, I've been a recipient of various programs, and I participated in them, and it made a big difference in my life and in the things I was able to achieve. So first of all, please give a round of applause to that. Now, today, the title of the speech is Overcoming Obstacles. I know that's very broad. I'll try to start from a very broad point of view and kind of narrow it down to pretty much as straightforward as I could find. So first of all, when it comes to overcoming obstacles, I broke it down in at least 3 parts: discipline, support system, and finally, dealing with failure. So to start off with discipline. So when you think about discipline, everybody thinks, it has an unhappy connotation to it, consequence, repression. But I see it firstly just as a tool. Because if you want to achieve something, you'll discipline yourself. And even before discipline, there's one thing is that you have to visualize what you want. So from an early age, whatever it is that you want to do, you have to be able to actually close your eyes for a second and think about it and see it. And the reason I want to talk about visualization is that growing up in an environment, it's a quick funny story. When I came to Canada, I didn't know how to speak English. I only knew how to speak French. And a lot of the times, this term that came up a lot in my life was Hassan, be real. So the first time that somebody told me that, I didn't understand. I was like, be real. Like, I didn't know English. I'm like, am I real? Like, am I fake? Then I understood what it meant, and then I still thought about it. Be real. What does be real mean? Then I thought it meant maybe be realistic. Then when it comes to realism, I asked myself, what is realistic? And the definition that I found for being realistic is that reality is subjective. There is no definite reality. So anything is possible. And the reason for that is, for example, if I have seen something that somebody else hasn't seen, and for them, what I see is realistic to me, but for them it's unrealistic. So we don't share the same definition of reality. So pretty much, I visualized whatever I needed to do before discipline. Now when it comes to discipline, getting back on that, is that discipline, I said, was a tool. So for pretty much discipline to work out, you need pretty much conditions for discipline, such as plans. You can't tell yourself, I'm going to be disciplined, and that's the end of it, right? So for instance, if you want to do a plan, you need little plans that will go all the way through a long goal, or that achieve a long goal, pretty much. Like, for instance, you can't tell yourself, I'm going to be rich, and just sit on the couch and just think about being rich and nothing happens. It doesn't make sense. So pretty much for that, you need things such as self-control, time management, and you need to make a contract with yourself. For instance, a lot of the times when I was working on my school projects, on various programs, even when it comes to sports, I played a lot of basketball growing up. I pretty much divided my time of the day into what was most important to me. First of all, my studies, sports, and everything. And then I allocated that time, and I would respect that each time allocated to the T. And after that, the second aspect I want to speak about is conditions of discipline. So for discipline to work out, you need to make sure that it has good conditions. For instance, if you tell yourself, I want to lose weight, you go work out, and this I've seen a lot, and then you end up at McDonald's for some odd reason. You're there looking at the menu. Like, you told yourself you were going to be disciplined, but your conditions are not really favorable for that goal. So the conditions I found that helped me was firstly a good supporting system. Everybody tells you this. I know you guys heard it a lot of times. It starts off with your entourage, your friends. If you want to achieve a goal, you have to look at your friends and see if your friends are aligning you to that goal, pretty much. If I tell myself I want to study, or I want to do something, I want to sit down and put time and effort into something, and my friends are telling me, go play basketball, that there's a conflict there. I'm not telling you overnight drop all your friends and tell them, hey, I need to work on my discipline, and it says here that you're not aligning me, so bye-bye. No. It's pretty much, if you have goals, work with people that are going to guide you to that goal, people that are going to make it easy for you to attain that goal. Because from there, what happens is that you start to feed off their energy. You start to, when you work with passionate people, people that have the same goal as you start to find out that even sometimes when you're feeling down, they're there to motivate you. They're there to push you through and tell you it's okay, we're going to make it. So they give you that little edge that you need. So supporting system is the first one. And the second thing, this is something maybe that you tend to a lot of people tend to underestimate, is that you got to look at your work ethic and your perseverance. Everything that you touch or that you give in, your name is associated with it. And what that means is that your reputation is in line with it. So if something has your reputation, you got to make sure it's something that's quality, because people are going to look at it and base themselves pretty much how they look at you with that. If you, for instance, be at your work and you don't give it your all, and somebody looks at it and says, so and so gave me this and it has a coffee stain, it's ripped, they're going to be like, is this person really about that? So you got to really understand that and put in 100% of your effort and be as much passionate as possible about the work that is at hand. And another thing that I learned without the last couple of years, and that's kind of indirect link to obstacles, is that you gotta network. I know this is, people sometimes will think, well, okay, how does networking relate to obstacles? Obstacles is that you meet a lot of mountains or whatever, or waves that in your path that are going to stop you. But if you align yourself with opening a lot of doors in your life, and one door closes, there's X amount of more doors that are still there. So you have more options, right? So you really have to get there, get out there, get to know people pretty much, so that you maximize all the opportunities that you have. And if something falls down, okay, sure, another one is lined up. That one falls, you have 3, 4, 5 more. So you really got to meet as much people as you need to, and people will also teach you a lot of things. You have to keep yourself open-minded, because a lot of the stuff that I've learned, or what I like to believe, is that everybody that I meet, I try not to be judgmental, and I know that everybody has a small quality or a good habit about them that I can embody within my life. So you really have to keep an open mind on it. Now, the third aspect, I think, which is the most important, or what I like to call my best friend, failure. Everybody knows that, or everybody that reach a certain level of success in their life knows that to get to where you need to be, at some point, failure was your best friend. At some point, something knocked you down that you either had to get through, or you were just one of the other guys that kind of faded away with time. So what happens? It's good that all these fairy tales, I've done this, I've done that, I've got this nomination, but what you don't see is that there's a lot of work that comes behind that. So what about when you lose? What about failure? And a funny story, the first time I thought differently about failure was a story that relates to when I was, I think, maybe early high school or middle school. And I had this friend, and at that point we didn't know each other well. So he was new to our school, and we started hanging out a little bit. And then one day, this new girl transferred to our school, and he told me, "Oh, Hassan, man, I like that girl. I'm like, okay. And then I was always like a shy guy, or like, no, don't say anything. You're gonna get rejected. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, but I like her, you know. What happens if she changes schools again? I'll never get stuck there. And then I'm like, okay, do whatever you want. And then one day he goes, and he's like, come with me. And then this was like in broad lunch. Like, you know how it is in high school when it's lunch. Everybody's there. There's people beatboxing. Other people, the athletes in the corner. It's like the way you see on TV. But he went up to her. She was around her friends, and then he's like, okay, stay with me. And then when he went up to her, I was like a little bit in the background, and then he went up to her. He's like, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself, and I wanted to tell you that I like you, and would you date me? And then it doesn't work out like you see it on TV, right? It's not like, oh, hey, you were the love of my life, oh, let's marry. No. And she goes up to him and she tells him, well, I will never date you in my life. Get out of here. And then the thing that impressed me the most, or that's still to this day, I still remember like it was yesterday, was that he came back and I was more nervous for him than he was. I was like, she rejected you, man. Like, you gotta recalculate your life. Like, what are you doing? And then he's like, and I'm like, what do you think? Like, how are you? Are you all right? Like, do you have a pulse? And then he says, well, it's fine. I'm like, what do you mean it's fine? He's like, I mean, she rejected me today, but this is only today, you know? There's tomorrow, there's the day after that, there's till next year. And then, little by little, because we were all in the same grade till all the way till senior year. And now, they're actually in a 5-year relationship ever since senior year high school. Just to show you that what really matters about failure is anything is going to happen. Stuff is bound to happen that you have not predicted for. You can plan as much as you want in life. Something is going to happen that's going to throw you off. But the way you react, your outlook, is the most important. The fact that you got to be relentless and actually driven by what you want to do. You have to be able to pretty much catch what happens, formulate it into good energy, and then bring it back. Like him, I don't know, at that point I didn't understand what was going through his mind. I only understood it further along the years, but it was a motivation for him to actually get it even more. So you gotta have that outlook. When it comes, something is gonna happen, you gotta get back up and stabilize yourself on your 2 feet, strategize, see where you went wrong, and then just keep going back at it. And the thing that I wanted to really put an emphasis is that a lot of people, well, at least where in areas I grew up or in my life, told me, Hassan, you know, if you do this, it's not cut out for you. Or I remember telling you, like, at the 9th grade, my guidance counselor told me, well, you should take applied classes because you don't really have the grades for the other classes. You're not gonna really like be realistic. You're not gonna reach like that level. And I was like, what do you mean? Only I know myself. You don't know me. And then the thing is that in an environment too filled with negativity, what you gotta remember is that you are not a product of your environment, but you're a product of your decisions. So you're credible of your own decisions at the end of the day. You're accountable for the decisions that you do. So if something happens, you can't blame it on environment. You can't blame it on negativity because you want to, or that's the easy way out. But you made that decision. You made that decision at the end of the day. And I felt a lot. Like I felt in exams, but I still came back. The other thing was that in what was it? It's in 8th grade too. I was very, very like into basketball, but you know 8th grade I was kind of obese in 7th, and then summer I kind of had that awkward growth spurt, so I was not athletic, and I had high G's in basketball. And then I went to go try out for the Celtics. I promised for the guy in the Celtics here, I still don't have a grudge. And then he caught me. And then I was like, wow, man, I swear I'm better than all those guys. And then I worked really, really hard in grade 9 and 10. In grade 10, I came back and I was selected as part of the All-Star game, citywide. And university, I failed exams, but the thing is that I went back on my 2 feet, and the second it happened, or those kind of stuff happened, I tried not to dwell on it too much and think about it too much and let it bring me down. I thought more about a comeback plan, or how I can pretty much make sure that I still attain my goal, but I maneuver around it. You gotta be flexible and resilient when it comes to these kind of things. And one thing is, or three things that I always tell myself is to really drive me is, the first thing is I can, and then I scratch that out, I will, and then I scratch that out. And I always tell myself, I must do this. I put myself in a position where I made a contract with myself, and that all my energy goes into it. So pretty much, to conclude everything or to summarize, I would say overcoming obstacles is a mix of your discipline, whether it comes from making a plan, whether it comes from self-control, time management. After that, conditions for discipline. You got to make sure that if you want to be disciplined, you got to set the right boundaries, goals, standards when it comes to discipline. And finally, overcoming failure. Everybody here, we all failed once, twice, a million times for me. But the way you look at it, the way you react is what that is most important. And the last thing is just I want to finish off with the quote by Thomas Edison. I think this is the quote that I still use today. Every time I fail or something happens, he says, well, Thomas Edison, for you guys, is the guy that involved the light bulb. He said, I have not failed 10,000 times. I have not failed once. As a matter of fact, I have succeeded in proving that these 10,000 ways will not work. When I have eliminated the ways that will not work, then only I will find the way that will work. So thank you, and have a good night.
Now we move on to the fun part where we recognize individuals, organizations, and people who have been contributing to this organization and center for years. I'd like to call up three gentlemen who are going to be doing the awards and recognition ceremony with me. If I could have the Executive Director of the Somali Center for Family Services, Abdulrazak Karol. And today, we are talking about the Stars of Tomorrow. We have two police officers with us, Abdullahi Ahmed and Liban Farah. Can you join us as well on stage? And after this award ceremony, that will conclude our evening, so if you guys can be patient, that would be wonderful. The first award that will be given is the Business of the Year Award. Small businesses usually get overlooked by these monstrous chains that sometimes get the best of us. The Somali Center for Family Services wants to recognize a small business in our community that has been present for over 10 years now. They are one of the most stable and successful small businesses in our city. Their sambusa is found in many small bistros and coffee shops around Ottawa, and they cater to students' affairs at Carleton, Ottawa and Algonquin, and a lot of other agencies and community spaces as well. Anyone that goes to Sambusa Village always appreciates the welcoming spirit, conversation, stories, and advice Uncle Mohammed always offers. Please come up and receive your award. Sambusa Village. Congratulations, Adel. Thank you so much, Adel.
Thank you very much for all of you for recognizing us. And we have been cooking food for 15 years, but not cooking restaurant food. We were cooking home food, mommy's food. And I'm not the one who's saying that. It's our customers who are saying that. It is the food critique professional writers who wrote about us, or our citizen, or our magazine, or our style. And the last one, a couple of months ago, CBC Radio as well. And you can Google Sambusa Village. We're doing very well. And the reason we are doing very well is thanks to all of you and the others who are repeat customers. The head of the repeat customers is Mingistab. He has been a fixture in our place for the last 15 years that we have been in business. Just wanted to mention, we will have another facelift after 3 years of facelift already, another new one coming, and we are welcoming you to our place. We dedicate this not to me, not to my children who work with us as a family in the business, but to the pillar of our business.
Okay.
Khairta Sharif Alawi, my better half. He is the one who built this business. Thank you.
I'm also a repeat customer. That's why this mid-line is not getting any smaller. Just gotta say. Our next award is the Community Leadership Award. And the definition of community has not been definite due to the vast changes society has experienced. With that, these individuals were visionaries creating a supportive hub for their community, a hub that supports us in many shapes and forms, connecting youth sometimes with community. Engagement opportunities can be difficult, but these individuals have created a safe space for youth to congregate, bounce ideas off one another, and finally create networks which they may have not been privileged to without the existence of this program. 2 young professionals started a program that today impacted so many young Somali youth and professionals in the city of Ottawa. Somali Youth Canadian Mentorship, Muna Abo, and Ifrah Hassan, please come up and accept your award for community leadership. Shamarki Abdullahi will be accepting on behalf of Muna, and he is one of our Somali Youth Canadian Mentorship role models who role models youth. So come up here, Shamarki Abdullahi from Crime Prevention, Ottawa. The award is up here, Omi. Yeah, thanks. We go way back, Shamarki now. Why don't you leave PQ? No, I'm joking. Do you want to say something about that?
Assalamu alaikum. Everyone, accent, good evening. I want to say thank you so much to the Somali Center for Family Services for organizing this amazing, wonderful dinner once again. I was here like last year, and this is why I'm back again. I did not come back for this, I promise. And I also want to thank them for recognizing us. Really, it means a lot to us. It gives us the inspiration that we do need. Our program is a non-funded program. It's free. We do this after work every day. And some of our mentors are here tonight, as well as our youth. So if you can just all just raise your hands so that we can all see you, please. The back over there, yes. And some of the mentors here, yes. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you once again. My partner Muna could not be here tonight, but she does wish you all well, and she really appreciates this. So on behalf of both of us, thank you so much.
Outstanding Community Leadership Award. Consistency can be hard to achieve due to the curveball that life throws at us. In a community service setting, consistency is key in order to maintain a forward motion to obtain our goals, but also it lays a foundation to create memorable relationships for the clients we support and the community we help. This particular individual has been serving their community for 20 plus years. He doesn't even look like he's over 20. I'm just saying. And we look forward to seeing more of that. Without further ado, actually I'll tell you a little bit before I say this. Abdul Qadir Abdi.
Thanks, man.
Habib.
Would you like to say something?
I can never. I see a microphone. I can't say never. Wallahi, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've always been very proud of the accomplishments of our community, the achievements, what we've done. We've come a long way, and a lot of that is because of our young people that drive us. I remember Habiba speaking of people since she keeps saying I remember people, but I remember her because we worked at the Boys and Girls Club when she had issues with things, and I used to help her with those issues that we don't want to go there with. Anyways, Thank you very much. I do appreciate this. It's a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you to the organizers of this beautiful event. The work that these guys and I do is to work with a lot of young people and their parents, but it is not just the three of us. It's a lot of parents who are behind what we do. So thank you for recognizing that, and Naima and her group, very, very great event. Thank you.
In today's society, we are taught that once we do a service, we must receive something in return, whether it be an opportunity, wealth, or constant recognition. Areas such as social services are constantly underfunded and rely on volunteers to fill the gap. Sometimes these services overlook volunteer achievements and the time they served in the community. We'd like to think that our volunteers are our secret weapons for the success of the center. We are grateful for everything that they do and the support that they provide. Tonight, the Somali Center for Family Services would like to honor a few of our volunteers to thank them for the time that they spent with our clients, the time they spent supporting the center, and finally the time they take away from themselves. We have a lot of volunteers in the center, parents, like Abdirazak was saying, students, youth. But tonight we're going to be celebrating three people, Judith, Love, Halima Musa, and Fozia, for their outstanding work. Pardon me?
As a volunteer, I think for every hour of volunteering, and I don't put in that many hours, but I think I get 2 hours of pleasure and friendship, and it's very, very worthwhile for me to do this. I think I get more out of it than this center gets from me. And I do appreciate just the opportunity to do this, because I'm now retired and I can no longer sort of work for money. And I'm thoroughly enjoying doing things that perhaps do help out here and there. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Mohammed, and he's a fourth-year student at the University of Ottawa. He's been with the Somali Center for Family Service for the last 2 years and has been both a mentor and a youth coach. Mohammed has been a head coach in the House League and has been teaching the kids developmental basketball fundamentals that are required to play the game. He's been really patient while trying to juggle 6 classes a semester, and at the same time also trying to maintain being equally committed to his youth. So if those two young gentlemen would like to come up and receive their Outstanding Youth Volunteer Awards. Do you want to say something?
Hi everyone, I just wanted to say thank you to the Somali Center as well as the entire community for all the support. We've received a lot of support at the Ottawa Islamic School for the basketball team. The kids have shown a lot of improvement from all the support from the community, as well as I want to thank Samatar Yusuf, I want to thank Naima, and also Mahmoud Hassan, who's out of town, of course, but Mahmoud has been a huge help with the basketball team as well as all the programs we've run, and has asked me for my help, and I've asked him for his help a lot as well. And once again, thank you to the Somali Center.
Without further ado, our last award goes to Muna Khalif. She's someone who has been dedicated to the success and the execution of all the youth programs for many, many years. Muna Khalif?
Well, thank you very much. I actually had no idea I was getting this. And for this work, I actually love doing this work. I was a participant at one time, and now I'm working with Somali Center, which is a lot I can say for it. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoyed your night.
Okay, yeah, you're going to do the closing remarks.
Now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming. Really, we appreciate it. Last year, we did the same, and all the donations that you donate to the program all went to the youth that you have seen on their pictures. There's 2 programs that running side by side, whether it's a winter or summer. It's a basketball and soccer. Both of them are running almost 12 months a year.
and therefore they need the resources that we need to make sure that everything is going well. We also appreciated our partners that we collaborate with it. When I look at the Somali Center where it was 15, 20 years ago and where it's heading right now, actually I like to retire it because all these young talented generations are coming out, and we wanted to really they take over and go to the secondary level. When I look at the Somali Center for Family Services, I remember two people that really support us from day one, and that two people is our Leslie McDermott of Southeast Health Community Center. When we run out money for the rent, she give us a check that saves the Somali Center for Family Services. And the other person that really I really appreciated, that was Elaine Rabin for Jewish Family Services, who give us money when we wanted to make sure that the center not close their doors. Therefore, those two people are the foundations of this organization, and really we appreciate it. The staff that we have, who are younger generation, who set up all this event tonight. I was not here in this country when they organized all this, when I was really outside enjoying a holiday outside, but they're doing all this hard work, and I'm going to appreciate all of them who come up and make this event is successful. Without their talent, without their devotion of time, without their really sacrificing, it would never happen. Therefore, we appreciate it. I also appreciated those people who donate for the cause of youth, for helping the younger generation. I'm a younger one who. I was just talking to about Camp Cloud. What we want every child has the opportunity, whether they play soccer or basketball or homework help. Then if they don't have cleats to play, we have to buy for it. If they have uniform, we have to buy for it, to make sure that they are equal to everybody. Nobody knows when you come into the field that you bought this uniform and cleats. It looks like that you come up with it. But behind the scene is the Somali Center who paying all this one is to collect money and then giving those children the opportunity. And really appreciate it. Every year this one is annual event. Next year in November you will get another call for help. Please come and continue helping us, and thank you very much.
So the Starbucks gift basket, the winner is Saeed Arwo. Thank you for your donation. Judith Love, you received the hand-woven African decorative rug. The athletic club winner is Radia. 100% martial arts and fitness, Abdurazak Shira. For another Starbucks gift basket, we had a number of bids, but Shamarki Abdullahi is the winner. Thank you for your donations, everyone.
So we're going to do it like Somali style. We're going to do a live auction of that. So let's start this bidding right now. Your process of auction. Okay? If you hear me yelling, it's part of the auction. Alright, so we're going to start off with 100. By the way, look at the paint. Look how beautiful this is. This, you hear work of art? This guy has been doing this since I got here about, maybe 6? So let's start off with it. Who's going to give you 150? Yeah? Oh! Guys, 150. Right there, that beautiful girl in the back. Give me 175. Oh, the girl right there, 175. Keep your clothes on. Alright. Who else is going to give you 200 bucks? 200 bucks, that kid right there, put his hand up. God bless you, son. What's your name?
Yaqub.
Yaqub, khayr Allah to you. Next, who's going to give you 250 for that one? Buddy, can you move so we can see the paint? For that beautiful paint, who's going to hook me up with $250? Let me get 200. Go, Kelly! Thank you, Kelly! Kelly, right here. You all know Kelly. Kelly's been a Somali white female for like She's been around the community. She looks white, but she's a Somali girl. All right, who's gonna give me, let's move it a little bit up here to 275. 275, that's nothing. 200 ayuto. Please, you put your hand up for 5,000? That's awesome. Oh, be careful. Be careful. All right, we got police over here. All right, here we go. Let's just go to about $350. $350. Look at the guy who did the paint. Pretend you look very sad. Yes, he's very happy. $350. I'm gonna look at $350. $350. Emma. Okay, hang on tight. Hoyoika Somaliga. Saddex boqol iyo konton bay sheekadu doonaysaa. Waad iibsan kadib afka jubisku siiya. Ya, wax la soo baxa. Fadlan. Gabadhaan iyo gabadhaas baa sheekadooda iyo Kelly. We have to change this. We want to see some action in the middle right here. Think about it. That's my friend Jilani. He's the owner of Mango's, you know, the shawarma place. And I think, is his hand going up or is he just touching his chin? Oh, he put his hand up. $350. Jillian, right, Jillian, he's got $350. He put his hand up. He knows the law. He knows the rules. $350. Okay, let's go back to Manila. Gabadha para tayo kadato. Waxay ku yisatay saddex boqol iyo toddobaatan iyo shan istaajiya. How ogolaanina. Okay, you need to stop this lady. All right, 375. Okay. Congratulations, Sally. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Okay, without further ado, you guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much. You're free to go home. Thank you. And we'll see you next year.